Dow's down 60. Let's get to Bob Pisani. Hey, Bob.
And Disney's down $14, and that's 100 Dow points, and that's why the Dow is down and the S&P 500 is up. Take a look at the sectors. Nice bounce back here for some of the major groups here. Semis, 1 day down, and now all back up again. Consumer discretionary back up. That's because Tesla's bouncing back, Amazon's bouncing back, the car companies are doing well. Communication services, that's Disney right there, so that's why it's sort of flattish. Materials are doing better because copper companies are doing a little bit better. Freeport's bouncing back. And there's the banks again. Still no impact about these inflation concerns. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but my head's spinning from all these IPOs this week, guys. I counted 17. There's a whole bunch of people going public right behind me. Several companies. One of them are Weave Communications, interesting company. They do customer communication software. One of the rare companies pricing below the range at $24. This hasn't happened very often recently. People have been getting the high prices again. But my heavens, there's a wine company, Wink, going public behind me. There's a bunch of them at Nasdaq, Lulu's fashion outlet, a couple of other companies out there, Backblaze, that's going public on the Nasdaq. It's a record year. 372 IPOs. That's not the record. The old record was about 500 in 2000. But in terms of the amount of money raised, we're already in record territory, 168. That includes direct listings. That's far and away beats the old record. And we're not even done yet. And normally it starts slowing down. It's not slowing down. It just keeps going and going and going. And a lot of the IPO people are having trouble just keeping up with the research on what you need to do to know what these companies are doing. Meantime, Jim brought up the main debate, as always, what everybody's talking about, which is this peak inflation right now, and how much inflation is there? This is very well studied on the stock market. Generally, a little inflation, stock market is fine with that. Stocks outperform 90% of the time when inflation is below 3% and still rising. That's an old Jeffrey studies, but there's a lot of studies out this over many decades. Where you have problems is when it starts going suddenly very fast above that 3% range and then stays there for a while. That's when you start having problems. But sectors that do well, it's pretty obvious. Energy does well in a high inflation environment because they can raise the oil prices. REITs do well because they can raise rents. Tech tends to hurt a little bit because they have high expected cash flows and they have lesser value, the discounted value when interest rates rise, and banks because inflation erodes the present value of loans. But none of this is happening yet, guys. Nobody is selling these sectors or buying them based on inflation expectations because there's still the debate about the transitory nature of all that. So we'll keep an eye on that. Finally, guys, different topic, but it's a big day. This is decision day for the Bitcoin ETF. Either today or tomorrow. They have until November 14th, and this is no longer punted down the road. They have to say yes or no to the Van Eck Bitcoin application. That's the first of many that are standing in line. Pessimism abounds about this. Gensler has made it very clear that he is concerned about all of this, about a spot Bitcoin ETF, because he doesn't believe he has an adequate regulatory authority over the crypto universe, particularly things like the crypto exchanges. And Carl, as you know, Bitcoin futures have been approved. We've got two of them. That main one, the ProShares Bitcoin strategy ETF, has been trading for a while, $1.2 billion in assets. But Carl, the ETF community, which is more pragmatic than the crypto community, is very pessimistic. They don't think that Gensler may even not approve it next year until he gets some regulatory framework around that. Carl?